Hey everyone, my name is Olivia, if you don't know who I am, and I make videos all about navigating adulthood and tips and tricks to kind of get through that transition with ease. This video is sponsored by NextAdvisor in partnership with Time Magazine. I'm so thrilled to be working with them again. I have an article with them from a couple of weeks ago, and now I have the opportunity to make a video for them, and I'm so thrilled to be here and talk to you all about financial tips to kind of make sure that, like I said earlier, getting through finance with ease. Their financial website is fresh, new, up to date, and current, and a lot of times that's really hard than you think to find on these platforms. So I'm so happy to be working with them because they have really good articles to make sure that you stay up to date with what's going on in the financial world, because a lot of times the financial world can be so overwhelming and exhausting. No more mundane Wall Street filling the suits and all the boring stuff. This is about getting through finance in a way where you can breathe in and you can breathe out. We have something very different today to do, but it has been something that has been on my mind and something that I've been thinking about bringing onto this channel. I wasn't sure how to bring it and which way. So basically we're going to be talking about post-grad life, and you finally got this check. You're finally making that money that you really want to make, but you don't really know what to do with it. You're so used to spending your checks the ways that you always used to spend it when you used to make less money, or maybe you're not a post-grad, maybe you just transitioned into a different tax bracket, or maybe this is your first check ever and you're trying to figure out, okay, I have all this money, how do I allocate it so it can not only work for me today, but for me tomorrow? Anyways, get yourself a cup of coffee, like I said, a cup of tea, some juice, some wine, I won't tell. And subscribe down below, like and comment before we get any further. Comment down below what you sipping on. All right, so today we have a special guest with us to have this conversation. She's a new surgical trauma registered nurse based in Atlanta, and also an amazing financial podcaster with her show called You Don't Have to Be a Millionaire. Welcome, my guest, but most importantly, personally, my mentee, Happiness. Hey, Happiness.
Hey, Olivia. Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Yes, and we've known each other for about 4 years now.
4 years.
That's crazy, because I remember we got linked together. We were pre-nursing.
Yeah.
You were in the pre-nursing club.
Yes.
And I was already in nursing school, like first semester fresh.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, somebody wants to have you as a mentor. And I was like, girl, I don't even know how to mentor myself. But I said, nevertheless, let's meet up. We lived in the same building.
Yeah.
We had lunch, and the rest is history. Now she's a nurse, been fresh a nurse for how long now?
1 month.
1 month. That's all that matters. I've been here in this game for about a year and like a few weeks. So I'm so excited for you. Your future, Miss ICU. So tell me a little bit about your like financial history, your story, like in a bite-sized way, kind of how you got here today.
Yeah. So basically, I grew up with like financially sound parents. So finance was always like a normal conversation in the house. Like we played a game of Monopoly and life and all those things. So it wasn't awkward to talk about money in my household until I got older and I realized how uncomfortable it made a lot of people.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, so I just wanted to find a space and a place where I can have those open conversations and people are comfortable to talk about their finances.
Absolutely. So did you always kind of have money growing up, or was it something that you kind of had to work for? Like,
I feel like you have to work for it. You always have to work for it.
You always have to work for
Always.
it. Some people don't, but most people do.
Yeah.
Awesome. So did you have to like work through college or to kind of get you to where you're at? Yeah.
So in college, I worked 2 jobs at one point. Yeah, girl was broke. I had to get finances together, so worked 2 jobs, worked in a hospital, worked an office job just to try to get by, pay for nursing books.
Amen. Yeah, that's a real thing. I had to do 2 jobs as well in nursing school. People don't think it's a real thing and it can happen, but it can. It is very real. They tell you don't have a job in nursing school. Like that's a dead horse. We're not riding anymore. So now, so you know, you just started nursing. You probably got 1 or 2 little nursing checks. How was your eyes when that happened?
I could finally eat a little better.
Okay.
No game, for ramen to pho or pho, whatever it is.
So there's always so much talk about like people who, you know, they graduate college and they don't get that dream job, and it's unfortunate. They're trying to figure it out, and that's always been like a huge conversation in the finance world. They graduate and they're trying to figure it out. But a lot of times, most people actually, surprisingly, graduate college and get a job, maybe not in their field, but it's still a good paying job. They might not be doing exactly what they went to school for, but it might be similar or not similar, but at least the money is better than what they did before college. So did you have any issues with like learning about that process and figuring out like I have this check, and did you feel overwhelmed when you got that first check? Like, just tell me about your experience with that first check and how you kind of knew what to do or not do with it.
Yeah. I think it was a matter of taking the old habits I had with spending little money
and
just transferring it over to bigger money. I said, wait, hold up, you have more money, but don't create more problems for yourself.
Exactly.
So a lot of the same frugal habits I had, I just carried it over because I thought that would make a good foundation.
Yes.
And then obviously having more money, I mean, it creates more choices. So I also made sure I prioritize my choices to make sure I'm using it for the right things and still saving, but also still enjoying my money at the same time.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people, like, they have that thought in their head that, yeah, I'm going to save and then I'm going to spend and have that ratio real nice and good. But as life goes on and things knock you aside the head, your car breaks down or all these things, you start to go, oh snap, I should have got my savings together, or I should have really had that down, or all these things, these what ifs that pop up in your head. So that's good, okay. I guess with me growing up, like seeing money was the same thing. My parents always talked about it. It was always a thing. It wasn't never a hidden show. And I was always a curious kid. So if I saw them doing something, I'm gonna go, what is that? What is that? I was always that what is that kind of girl. So that wasn't an issue growing up. It was like you said, talk to other people and they're going like, and then they're acting private a lot of times. But the issue is a lot of times people are acting private because they don't really know what to say. They're not confident in what they're doing in their finances, so they don't want to talk about it because it's like they know it enough just for themselves, but they don't want to talk about it, trying to give advice or help others in their community or their family. So that's what I've been seeing is like, yeah, I do this, but I'm not going to really share it because I don't know if that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are just kind of winging it. And the thing is, money in America is not a thing you should wing because at the end of the day, you're just going to be like everybody else, and you can elevate with the same money that the same person next to you is making. I've seen, even at work, my coworkers, we're all making pretty much the same money, but we all live in different lifestyles. And that's what I've read. Some people are counting pennies, some people are going to California every week, you know, stuff like that. So I just feel like money is different in different people's hands. So yeah, so basically like when I get my check, I really look at my check in a way where I break it down to like buckets or categories or whatever you want to call it. I kind of say like savings, investments, checking/spending, and also in retirement. So do you use those same buckets or do you have more or less?
So when I got my check, the first bucket I had was debt.
Okay, oh yes.
I felt like I can't enjoy the fruits of my labor until I start getting this cleared and, you know, Fed loans started blowing up my phone. So I had debt, and then I had savings, of course, and then I had investments.
Gotcha.
It's kind of how I broke my buckets down.
So I feel like these days a lot of people are losing their job and just other things that's going on. But besides that, like, what tools, tips, or tricks do you use to kind of help you with your savings?
So I like to treat my savings like a bill, basically.
Okay.
So something I have to pay into, I have to get it, you know, it's part of my bills.
Yes, exactly.
And I think one thing I like to do is tailor my savings. I know some people are like, oh, you should save like 30% or 50% of your check. That's impossible, especially when you have a lot of expenses. So I like to tailor it every month. So like, for example, like the holiday time, I know I'm going to be spending, you know, gifts on family and friends. So obviously saving like 50% of the check probably isn't possible.
Yeah.
So maybe that month I'm like, okay, let me just save like 30%. But in a month like January, it's after the New Year's. I'm not doing anything. I'm not spending no more money.
Exactly.
I'm like, okay, let me save like 60% of my check. So I like to make sure that I treat it like a bill, basically. And I'm always saving some type of percentage, usually over 30%.
And so with me, I do the same thing. I look at my check and then I go, I have to pay my savings bill. It's like a bill. And I, like you said, it's like I look at my situation. Am I trying to buy like furniture, Christmas, whatever? And then but usually like similar, around 30% of my check. Since I bought the house, 20 to 30% of my check is going towards my savings. But lately, I've been including a new bucket, which is charity and donations.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's a new bucket that, you know, you can give to it whenever you have it. But yeah, definitely. But my big tip for saving is definitely have multiple saving accounts.
Yeah.
Personally, I have a savings account for everything. I have a savings account to pay my credit card bill. So every time I swipe my credit card, I transfer money to my savings account for that credit card. So when the end of the month comes, let's say my credit card bill is $500, that savings account is also $500. So when it's time for bill day, I just transfer it, pay it in full every month. Because I don't swipe my credit card as long as I have the money for it. So like a lot of people use their credit card if they don't have it, which is fine. If I don't, maybe I don't have it that day, but I will have it at the end of the month. Either or, either I have it and I transfer it immediately, or I will have that money by the time that bill is ready. So I always pay my credit card bills in full. So with my savings, that's what I kind of do. That's just an example of one of my savings accounts. I have a savings account for my car note. I have a savings account for traveling, my emergency fund, vacation. I have 100 savings accounts.
I have like 20. I have like an Amazon savings account. Then I have another shopping one.
I have a savings account literally called miscellaneous.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about savings account is that, at least for most banks, you can go in there in like 5 minutes on your mobile app or your mobile account, whatever, or go into your actual bank, and they can just open up another savings account, usually free or very low cost, but hopefully it's free because mine is free. Hopefully y'all are using banks that don't charge too much. I like credit unions, that's just a recommendation, but yeah. So what about like retirement? I know it's a conversation people don't usually talk about, especially when people are kind of, you know, trying to make ends meet. But do you have a retirement account or any type of ways to save for your older version of happiness?
Yeah, so yes, I do. I did apply for my 401k at work. That was one of the first things I did because you can't be working and, you know, you're not saving for retirement. You can't work forever.
Exactly.
And then I plan to open an IRA, which is an individual retirement account, very soon. And also, basically, all my investments is, you know, retirement also.
Exactly, because like with me and my job, because we're both nurses, I'm also a nurse as well, and my job, they do 403b, which is the same as 401k. It's just my job is, I think they consider like a nonprofit or something, so it's just the like nonprofit version of like 401k. So it's the same principle. Employers put half. They give you half, like if you put in $10, they'll put in $5. Yeah. So I always do 6%. This is like important and like put it up somewhere. But like they recommend, especially people in your 20s, to put down like 5 to 6%, preferably 6% of your income towards your retirement. So on my account, I always, every check, 6% of my check goes to that account, and then the employer matches it, half of it. And so that's cool. So that's a very great way, and it's gone behind the scenes. I don't look at it, I don't check it, I just let it roll and let it run, and that's gonna be, a future living is gonna be happy. And do not pull out of it because they're gonna tax that thing, like, they're gonna tax it. So definitely just let it be, let it exist without you really thinking about it. So that's a great way to put your money to the side. And a lot of times your employer will do it before you even get your check. So before you even see your check, that's already been done, taken out of your check. And so like our next bucket is investments. Woo, that could be a whole nother video. Okay, there's so many ways you can invest. You can do like peer-to-peer investment where you invest to other businesses, and like I know there's like certain websites. If you just Google peer-to-peer, a couple of websites will come up. Peer-to-peer investing, where you can like put down like $25 up to whatever, and you can invest in other people's businesses, and then, you know, make money off of that. You can do buying a house. Like I did stocks. Like we did, right? So those are just some like very like known ways you can kind of start your foot into some investments. Do you have any recommendations of any investments?
I don't know. I feel like I don't want to say a high-end investor, but you know, I'm a little like, I don't want to toot my own horn or nothing. I use TD Ameritrade because it's just, you know, it's just easy for me to use. I just like the interface and like But I tell other people, like, there's something more simpler for you to use. Definitely start out with that.
Yeah. And I recommend Acorn as a simple route
Yeah,
because literally I had it since college, and you just add your information, you pick what kind of portfolio you want. It's like aggressive, conservative, moderate, and all these other things. It does all the investing for you. You just pick your portfolio and it trades it and does all the things, and all you gotta worry about is seeing that money flip, seeing that money grow. But definitely stocks is a whole other conversation. But is there any other investments that you do besides stocks right now?
I also have a CD account, which is certificate of deposit. You basically put, most banks it's like 500 minimum, up until like a certain X amount, and you just leave the money in there for an X amount of time, like 6 months. I do 6 months.
Yeah, and you can reevaluate it. Which I wouldn't pull from it before then. No, just let it
stay there. Don't touch it. Don't think about it, and
And let's see, the last bucket is checking your spending, the fun stuff.
Money is meant to be spent at the end of the day, so use it.
Use it, don't abuse it.
Right.
And don't use a credit card if you don't trust yourself. Like I told you, definitely use the tips that I said, where it's just like every time you swipe it, you already have the money in your checking account, and just transfer it over into a savings account. I don't recommend transferring it into a payment because you want to let the bank register what you've been doing. Because if you automatically pay your bill as soon as you swipe your card, the bank doesn't process that you used it, and then you're not getting all that good credit score juice that you really want. So just pay it near the time it's due. You know, don't just pay it every time you swipe it. You swipe the card, you transfer it, pay it. Swipe the card, no. Let it grow and pay it at the end of the time when this time is due. So on a lighter note, what is like your favorite thing to do or use that can help others who are watching this do today? Because a lot of times people watch these videos and they're like, that's cute, but how can I start today?
I think in general, I just like to watch a lot of YouTube videos. I like to read the news, Yahoo News, or I like to use it to read like stock profiles and what's going on with companies to see if I want to invest in them or not.
Right.
And I also have a podcast catered towards millennials called You Don't Have to Be a Millionaire. You can listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more.
Yes, we like the plugs.
I'm about to say, where I just talk about basic financial education, how to start a stock account, savings.
So I'm so happy that you were here, Abby, to talk about all of this fun stuff, especially as a new grad, as a new nurse. Congratulations again. Miss ICU, couldn't be me after labor, our babies. But yes, thank you so much for coming here and having this conversation with everybody. I feel like it's a conversation that people think about, but they don't really know who to talk to. Some people are first generation college students, or just maybe they make the most money ever in their whole family, so they don't even know who to talk to. So hopefully this video helps, and thank you NextAdvisor in partnership with Time for letting us do this video here and sponsoring this video. I'm so happy to be working with y'all. Stay healthy, wear your mask, and like, comment, subscribe, and follow her podcast so you don't have to be a millionaire like she mentioned. And definitely check out NextAdvisor's website. They have some really cool information and really engaging information that help you navigate this financial blog. So thank you. See you in the next video.